Alright, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, my live stream. Welcome back to my WWE Backlash pay-per-view 2025 review. We're gonna watch the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view's almost over. We're at the main event. This is Jacob Cash 2024. Make sure you guys hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section y'all want to see more. And we're doing a live stream for the pay-per-view Backlash 2025. A 5-match card. The show's like 2.5 hours. Um, I'm making this live stream very early because it's only 5 matches on the card. We have a lot to talk about. We'll talk about the pay-per-view after it's over, and then we'll talk about the news and rumors for WWE and AEW. The pay-per-views upcoming. Then we'll talk about everything else in the show. Just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. My video is sponsored by Solomon the Sound Off, JD from New York, Fight for Pro Wrestling, and Lee Salcedo, Good Might Work Commentary, and my other favorite podcasters. Now we got the main event, John Cena versus Randy Orton. The hype at the one last time is for the WWE title. Cena as a heel, Orton as a face. We're here in St. Louis, Orton's hometown. The match is actually pretty good. I'm not going to show all of it, only some of it. Once we get to the good part. But let me know y'all can hear the match. Great match. Serious problem here. We don't have an official. This has turned into an all-out street fight, an absolute brawl. Referee Chad passed it down for a number of minutes. He went head first in the steel steps. Well, we need to continue to block. This is not just continuing. Maybe Total Manager here is figure out putting another official down here. It is awesome, guys, but Brady's not going to have a chance to win things if there's nobody to count. That's a very good. No, I don't. Oh, the match is going crazy. Yeah, match is crazy. Damn, this is a great match. John Cena and Randy Orton is actually a lot better. The crowd invested in the chant. This is awesome. I think this is a lot better than his match with Cody Rhodes. Let that sink in. Probably because the build has been a lot better. A crazy man. No. Damn. What's going on? Of course he did. Now he's yelling at August, the general manager. Get another referee there. Nobody left. After seeing two conferences of referees, here's the point. Nobody else wanted to look back. That's it. That'll be a fine. RKO to everyone.
Cena is defenseless in the corner. Randy Orton is backing up in the position. He tried to do this earlier tonight. I mentioned the legend killer. For many years, putting in legends. One battle legend to kill. And whoa.
Whoa.
He did come out here because he's a fan of John's, but the problem now, off the low blow, Cena has the championship gold in hand again, right off the skull of Orton. He gets rid of the evidence, into the cover. Again, no official, but coming to and dragging himself into the ring is set back. Pat's back into the ring. The cover now by Cena. Randy Orton is down and out, and John Cena retains the hand championship.
John Cena wins.
I don't even know what to say anymore, except the fact that the old John Cena never, in a million years, would have taken a victory like that. Well, which is what made him special. Wait, that is what made John Cena special. You're a reformed fanboy like a lot of people at this point, but this is the most desperate, soulless John Cena we have ever seen. But crucially, what's irrelevant right now? What is relevant is that John Cena is still the champ. He wants to retire the title, the last real champion in his mind. And I mean, this was the second referee who got Eddie Orengo championship.
But that was a great match. Again, a shit ending, but it did make sense. It was a very good match. Crowd was invested. It was a lot better than what we got WrestleMania. Based on the interference, the weapon being used, the shenanigans, Randy Orton, RKO, Nick Aldis, and all the officials, our troop got involved. It was very good. I hope we see what I think we're going to see after this. Because this show is ending pretty early.
Our producers, our executives, Jamie Noble face first bouncing up the mat. And this was when Randy Orton lined up the punch and it should have been executed. That was the showstopper. I turned out here to say his long time buddy, I guess. Always a fan of Cena. Of course, the official still out that was delivered the low blow away, but that was just a destruction of Orton. Open the window for John Cena to be the destiny. Take it as low as you want. And Randy Orton at this point with that championship shot is out completely cold. You hope, beyond hope, there would be some way he could kick out of this. You know what 3 count was in? You know what makes me so angry about all this is the fact that that was a great match. John put on a hell of a show. I know you can't see me, but can you hear me? Cut the damn music. I don't need music. What I need is competition. And I sure as hell don't need you. Drink it in, St. Louis. Because this is what the last real champion looks like.
Looks like the show is over. Our troop got involved, and that was it. Man, they went up so early. Well, the show is over. Now time for the press conference. Man, it felt like they rushed the ending. I was hoping that there was gonna be something more, but that was it. That was it. That's how Backlash went out the air. I thought it was a very good, mad, crappy finish, but it made sense. Um, now we are gonna go through everything that happened on this show. We're gonna go through this in order. Um, now this is what we got on SmackDown. I don't think I was able to show some of this. Now, so now this is what we got on SmackDown last night. That's how the show opened. R2 tried to cheer his childhood hero. Out the Black believe that he is the consequences of this. Drew sends a messenger to Fatu. We have Leah challenge Chelsea Green to a tag team match next week. We got Vega and we got the tag team match here. We got Legado ambushing Ray Phoenix. Jade interrupts Charlotte Flair. Alexa Bliss wants to talk to Charlotte Flair. They had a segment here. Meeting and B-Fact congrats to Street Profits. Nathan Ephraim down to Street Profits. They had a very good match here. Finally, something new on this show. Nia Jax confront Tiffany Stratton. Miz and Carmelo talk about Out the Black. Jacob doesn't need any plan to retain the US title at Backlash. DIY Embassy Fresh some and mostly machine guns. John Cena promises that tomorrow the childhood dies. Alright, so that's the pre-show. Now they have the NBA playoffs. We ain't gonna talk about that now. I was gonna do. Maybe I'll do my reviews. Maybe for down, and I'll save the pay-per-view for the live stream. I think it's much more easier. Um. Alright, so here is Night of Champions in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Night of Champions 2025. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, June 28th. That's next month. So I think it's like after Money in the Bank. I figured we would get a Saudi show this year. Um, this is what we got. There's Shanti doing a live stream here.
4 weeks free when you sign up. Nuts.com is a snacking utopia. Relationships from all over the world. I actually, let alone the fact that his dad is.
Oh, what the 20 minutes? I don't like these live streams they're doing.
This one.
Alright, hold on. Alright, hold on for a minute. I'm gonna tell the press conference. Now this is the post show. The press conference just getting started.
No, not at all.
Alright, so while they talk about that, Mike will go through the rest of this show, go through the rest of these matches here. Alright. Now this is what we got on Backlash. Backlash was a very good show. Like I said, 5 matches here. At the post show still going on. Backlash was a very good show. The show opened up strong, kind of finished strong. We had a great opener. We had a fantastic fatal 4-way. Jacob Fatu defending his US title against Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and LA Knight. It was a very good match. There were a lot of big spots, a lot of highlights. Crowd loved it. It was awesome. I think my favorite highlight was when Damian Priest hit Drew McIntyre with a massive South of Heaven on the table in the crowd. And the biggest thing, we got the debut, the shocking debut, Jeff Cobb. Now this is something that a lot of us talked about. I talked about it. My other podcaster friend talked about it. Jeff Cobb made his shocking debut. He got a big reaction. Jeff Cobb was a free agent. I think somebody knew he would come to WWE, and he did. He helped Jacob Fatu. He actually Solo was out there helping, and then Jeff Cobb came out. We could be looking at the rise of the bloodline. Solo said that we're gonna need soldiers. I thought it was a great moment, a great debut. Last year we had the debut of Tonga Lower at Backlash. This time it's Jeff Cobb. They're still building up the bloodline if they are. I don't think Jeff Cobb can be on his own yet. They could be setting up Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb, or maybe Jeff Cobb working with the bloodline. Solo, Jacob, and Jeff Cobb. Imagine that. I thought the match was very good. A great fatal four-way. Jacob Fatu retained. Jeff Cobb clearly going to join the bloodline. Now, the way how the match ended with Fatu winning, looking at Solo, looking at Jeff Cobb, he's also Samoan. I think he's also in the Air family. And uh, looking at Jeff Cobb, um, now based on based on Jacob Fatu reacting, how he did after he retained, he looked at them, he walked away, very like confused, like maybe seeds are planted for Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb. We won't know. I can't wait to see what happens on SmackDown this week. We had a fantastic opener. Jacob Fatu retained. I'm pretty sure Damian and Drew are going to continue their feud. LA Knight took the pinfall in this match. So what's going to happen to LA Knight? Is he done in the World title picture? Is he going to move on to the World title? Maybe face John Cena? We won't know. But what happened after LA Knight? Now we know Drew and Priest are going to feud. Well, they're going to tell the story with the new bloodline with Fatu, Solo, and Jeff Cobb. We had another great match with Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. A great match. Crowd loved it. These two went back and forth. It was hard hitting. Crowd saying, this is awesome. This is the first time that the women's Intercontinental title had been defended on a PLE. A very good match. I thought it was awesome. Now Lyra got the sneaky victory. She won on the roll up. It was enough to protect Becky. Obviously, the feud gonna continue because after the match was over, Becky attacked her, and put her in the disarm. So I'm pretty sure the feud gonna continue. It was a great match. The made sense. The feud gonna continue. I think Becky will get that title. I'm not sure when, but I think she will. I think Bayley gonna come back, and we will get Bayley coming back. She might get a title shot. We had a very good match here with Dominic and Penta. It was decent. Very good match for the IC title. We had the El Grande Americano caught Penta a chance to win the IC title. He got involved and screwed over Penta. So they're gonna feud. Dominic retains. We had Pat McAfee and Gunther was also very good. It was decent. It will give it a lot of time. Pat McAfee had some offense. He tried. He fought in this match against Gunther. All right. Randy Orton Johnson entered one final time.
Tire, LA Knight, yeah, and Damian Priest.
Adding pro wrestling to it as well. And in a four-way, and I've mentioned this a number of times, you can get away with a lot more action there without applying all the psychology, because if one person goes down, you still got three others there to go and do the next spot and all that. So those 3 and 4-way matches really, really play into the fast pace and action that you need out of this generation as well. And to draw some interest to this United States Championship. Because let's be real, they have booked that United States Championship pretty terribly for quite some time. I do have some questions moving forward about what else was entertaining to watch. Nice, but there was a lot. I mean,
All right.
Hey. Suzuki says Gunther looks like a Duke. We got Jose Levis Jr. who says D. Jolie is happy because our troops on the show. Let's see what else we got here. We got Adam Carver who says A plus. Jolie says 4 out of 10. Sorry to 2 matches. That's all. We got a super chat from Dan Jackson who says Backlash was all right. Great watch. Based off of like what everybody here in the chat is saying, it really feels like a mixed pool of takes and opinions here.
I'm curious too because I know what I think in my own world. So when I start getting out and seeing what other people are thinking outside of what I am, it always kind of throws me.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. All right, let me get our little thing up here and let's start our super chat. Our super. We don't have to speak anymore, guys. I forgot how to talk today. All right, let's do this. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. So, yes. Well, okay. Well, let's get to it. We got Backlash, and like, oh my god, I don't even know where to begin. Honestly, I can start at the top of the show. I can start at the end of the show. But based off of like what I've been seeing from people's comments and whatnot, it feels like some people really liked the show. Some people kind of had mixed feelings where they didn't really love it. I think for me, I felt really good about the start of the show. And then towards the end of the show, I started going, oh, this is totally going in so many different directions. Before we break it all down, for you, as a whole, what did you think of Backlash?
Actually, as a whole, I really liked the entire thing, like from start to finish. I don't know that it continued on every match, and I was like, oh, this is different. Oh, this is different. Just because I feel like you go into these things and you hear multiple people saying different things and rumors, and I usually block that out. So I'm just kind of sitting there.
Yes, well, it's fresh. Okay, so I have like a separate recording file where I like record my reactions and whatnot, and I usually start and stop like after every match. And when I looked at that recording for just the John Cena Randy stuff, like entrances, video package, the match, the aftermath, I think that file ended up being like 53 minutes.
Oh my gosh, you do it all at once?
Yeah, so all at once. And I was looking at that and I'm like, yo, like 53 minutes for just the John Cena Randy stuff. This is wild, right? So anyways, but this kind of goes to show, I don't know how long the actual matchup was, but there was just a lot that went down in this. So going into this, the first thing that I had asked people during the live watch along was, do you think this match will be better, worse, or the exact same as what we saw at WrestleMania with Cody and with John? And everybody was basically expecting a slightly better match. I do think this match was a million times better than what we saw at WrestleMania. However, for me, Weezy, it got to the point where there was so much shenanigans that I thought, oh my god, I kind of feel silly at some points because you already know what's going to happen. A lot of it feels really telegraphed. But what we got was a ton of finishers from both bunch of AAs, a bunch of RKOs, table spots. We got three or four ref bumps. We got at one point the entire back office coming out there, and they're not being an additional referee. And Randy Orton gets screwed. He gets a visual pin on John Cena at one point, and there's no referee to count it there. I mean, I can't even tell you everything that happened in this match. There was so much, but John Cena, of course, retained his championship. God, I don't know. We can start wherever you want on your thoughts on this, and we'll just get to it.
I had a thought in the middle of the match and it was before the shenanigans happened. I didn't expect there to be that many shenanigans because my chat is going off being, oh yeah, this is a real wrestling match. They're taking it back old school. They're taking it back classic. And then it kept evolving. They're saying this for the first 20 minutes. And then suddenly, oh, they're doing finisher after finisher and they keep kicking out of it. Why does this keep happening? What do you think about all of these people kicking out of these finishers all the time? Don't you think it's too much anymore? And I'm kind of, yeah, but at the same time, okay, let's let them keep going. I didn't think that Randy and John would include that many shenanigans
maybe
in
some
their
work
match.
on that.
I didn't
I
expect
can add more
the announce table stuff. John going through an announce table. John going through a table, taking his own AA on an outside table. It just so much. The only other I had when all of the back end came out. So you had Nick Aldis come out and Hurricane and all that. when I was like, what are you gonna do? Revive Eddie Rainbow? What are all of you doing out there? What is the purpose of this? I really was like, this is getting goofy. And then the purpose was to RKO all of them, and then I was fine with it. Yeah, that's fine.
It was the select portions that you liked here and there.
It's fine.
No, and I feel like the R-Truth stuff, at that point, I just thought, okay, everybody and their mothers is coming out. Like, this is kind of just super overbooked at this point. So I thought, might as well have at it. I think they did the R-Truth stuff really to kind of just like pop the internet and pop the crowd and have the thing of like, oh, hey, R-Truth is out there. So it felt like just a little extra, a bonus on top of everything that they were already doing. But I really think that the part for me that took me out of it, because I did like the matchup for like from the beginning. Once like they started doing all that additional stuff, okay, that's when I started to lose interest, because once you don't have a referee out there and you're sending all of these people from the back and you're telling me there's not one other referee in the back, that was the part that
I'm Christy No.
just do it. So I think that part for me kind of got a little hokey, but I did like the stuff shenanigans that we saw unfold there. So with that being said, though, of course, John Cena remains afterwards. Oh, this is I'm curious to see your thoughts on this, because afterwards, John Cena had a little bit of a promo, and he starts talking about how he wants new challengers, and he's looking for a challenge. I thought that somebody was going to come out here. I thought something was going to happen, and then it didn't. Were you at all expecting that?
I wanted to ask you if you thought that at some point somebody was going to come out. So I didn't. I actually held strong throughout the entire match that I didn't think anyone was going to be coming out or interfering or whatever. And then we got the the credits up. You got, oh, Paul Levesque is fitting, and I said, oh yeah, nothing. And then it rolled over into his continuing to talk in the ring, and I went, oh, maybe, but I didn't know who, and then it didn't happen. So I still didn't anticipate it, but there's always that little bit of doubt when something like that happens and rolls into it. I really didn't think anybody was going to come out, but the entirety of the match, or the whole thing, did you think there might be some kind of interference or something like that?
There was one point where people were bringing up, oh, this is where Cody Rhodes is going to come out, and I started to go, I can see that. I can kind of see Cody Rhodes coming out here. And I had actually my Backlash predictions, I thought Cody Rhodes was going to come out here tonight. And no
Really?
Cody Rhodes, by the way. No Cody Rhodes. I was thinking, okay, well, here's the reason. Let me explain why I thought Cody was going to come out. Because when I looked at this card, I thought, okay, very, very predictable. All of the winners to me were very predictable. In fact, every single person that I predicted would win tonight won tonight, including W. Lyra next. See, girl, that's what I'm saying. Like, predictable today. So, but also very nice to get the predictions right?
Everybody never knew.
Yeah, it's nice when it happens. It's really nice. So that, like, for me, I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, we're gonna kind of need some surprises, right? Something a little extra to happen. And I think for me, I wanted to know, okay,
Undertaker is now a member. We can
right?
say
Like, when
the
do we get
Undertaker
back? I know we're not going to get back to
is now a
Cody
member
instantly,
of the
but
Wyatt
when
family.
are we getting back to Cody? Who is that next person for John?
The
Is
Undertaker
looking for a
turned.
new challenge?
Like when Undertaker lost WrestleMania, they said it was a
I'm
big
going, damn,
decision.
bro. I'm
But they
wondering
said when you lost away
that
one,
was
he
part
said
of the
it was
reason
his
why I
decision
was kind
to
of
put
expecting
Cody
Cody here.
because they
Only
won
for
like
that, and I thought everything kind of felt too predictable and we needed a little bit something noteworthy, heading into
never get
that
blown by it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
And this match
Go ahead.
was
You can-
oh, no,
quite
you go for it.
collective.
You're good. You're
No,
good.
my thought process of it was
I was
just
hoping that Bray
because
Wyatt
my chat and I were discussing this,
I'm at
and with CM Punk having to come back within 2 weeks after WrestleMania, and they're like, "Oh, Punk's back, Punk's back." On time, so I figured, well, they'll have Cody gone for maybe a month or so, at least more, and then have him come back and it'd be a little more about, oh wow, there he is. But I agree with you on the point that now, okay, who is it going to be? We did see, and it could be just Punk being Punk, but he did post a Instagram story. He's at home in his living room taking pictures of the TV on his wall, and there was the caption of John saying something like, "I am the last real champion or champion." Punk or took a picture of it and put "for now." So I don't know.
Good.
If that's what we're going. I don't know.
Look, you mentioning that, thank you so much. I had not seen that on
Thank you,
social
Kat.
media.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'm like, thank you for that, because legit, I had no idea that this was he had even posted this. So I'm looking at this as okay, if that is the case, great, because if you recall, after Elimination Chamber, CM Punk was one of the ones who actually called out John Cena. Remember when he did that promo on Raw, and he had said, dude, it was the one where he called the Rock a ball of fraud.
The big ball fraud, yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
He had also mentioned John Cena during that. So I'm looking at this and going, okay, it needs to be big. Like, here's the thing. I think someone said there's like, 23 days left with John Cena, and there's not that many. So if you do want to knock out certain feuds, you're going to have to get to them pretty fast. John Cena, CM Punk, they have a storied history, and that is one of those feuds that I've seen a lot of people want to resurface that.
You think we're done with Orton Cena? You think that was it?
I think this has to be it. Yeah. Even though Brandy got screwed, like Brandy could use this maybe for later. I just don't know. Even if they did run it back, I don't know that I have a desire to see it again. I was fine knowing that this was the last time.
I think this is a fitting ending for them. I do. I think it's a fitting ending for them with all of with everything that happened. You can't do something with that much in it and then be like, oh, let's go again.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into some of these super chats, and then we'll continue with the rest of the show. We got Dominic Cena here who says Backlash 2025 is better than Mania 40. JK, but better than 41. I was about to say 40. 40. Say 41, bro. I even thought I read your super chat wrong. Thank you, Dominic. We got Bailey Darling here with a very generous super chat. Bailey, thank you so much. He said Backlash is better than the main event. Backlash is better than main event. I loved everything and really hope a rematch happened. I didn't expect Lyra to retain, and I'm excited for Jacob's face turn. So Bailey, you got a lot of really good stuff in here. I want to dive into the Lyra Valkyra Becky Lynch match, because that was the one that I had really hoped that Lyra would win, but I knew I was kind of risking it, right? Like, I had said, okay, Lyra's my pick, but I was also thinking, oh, I'm probably going to be wrong in this pick here. So when Lyra did get the victory, I was so happy. It just felt right. What I loved about this is that this was a wrestling match. They went in there and they worked so beautifully with each other. And all of my favorite part in this was when Becky got really nasty with Lyra. When she started slapping her a bunch of times, and at one
Now let's go to the other podcasters.
Oh my sauce. That is so embarrassing. I am so sorry.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing like that performance after the show. Avery Washer chat says this March reminds me of the end of an era, but for the ruthless aggression era, all you needed was some blood to mark that time. You need a lot of, oh yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the John Cena match with Randy Orton, surprisingly, pretty damn fun. We're gonna talk about the rest of the Backlash Premium Live event here in a second, but we do have a sponsor for today's show. Larson, let's go ahead and talk about that. Oh, actually, hold on 1 second, because I have to bring up my notes. I got so involved in talking about this that I didn't even bring up the actual.
It was a good start to the show, and I think it set up a lot coming out of this. Not the appearance by Jeff Cobb, so very storyline driven coming out of this for pretty much all of the characters, minus LA Knight have something of significance coming out.
Yeah. I thought also like Cobb received a pretty good reaction. I think better than I expected from the crowd.
Let's do the pre-show again. I mean,
Mother Nature.
the press
My
conference.
sister, Mother Nature, grows everything organic. She gets all the credit, but I don't remember any of it.
Alright, so we got the pre-show. Wait, who? Who the hell that guy? Oh, that Jeff Cobb. Hold on a second. I want to show that much of it.
Bringing someone else into the fold. Jacob still are united.
Oh, that's Jacob.
Seen look on my face.
I almost didn't recognize him, but he's not in his attire, wearing his actual street clothes.
Explain. Every day.
Now the press conference is a lot different than it used to be. I'm surprised Triple H didn't. He might show up last in the press conference. But anyway, these are the mask cards. 5 masks on the show. I was hoping they would add something else, but I mean Jey Uso and Logan Paul. That might be for Saturday Night Main Event. Seth Rollins, he's not on the show. So fantastic fatal 4-way, fought 2 retained. Jeff Cobb made a shocking debut. Dominic and Penta were pretty good. Gunther and McAfee were very good. Lyra and Becky Lynch was the second great match. Lyra retained. Gunther won. John Cena and Randy Orton was a very good match. The main event was a lot better than what we got with Cena and Cody. These two had great chemistry, and the crowd was invested. Yeah, there was shenanigans. We saw finishers left and right. We saw weapons. We saw a lot of shenanigans get involved. I was hoping that R-Truth would maybe align with John Cena. Maybe he will on SmackDown. We just won't know. But yeah. So it was a very good match. I wonder what could happen next. Hopefully John Cena on SmackDown this week, and then we'll see what happens next.
Right now.
A lot of fans are leaving. Wow, this arena is empty now.
Okay. Take care of business. And Daddy Dom take care of business. Do you buy yourself a new Intercontinental watch, by the way, after one time? Come on.
We still got JD from New York. Well, that gonna take a while. Now there's SmackDown, there's the news and rumors. Will I play Black WWE? AEW had better in-ring competition than WWE. We got the Salamonster. I think I will start doing AEW Dynamite. Maybe I might not do a live stream, but I think I'll do it on my YouTube channel. Maybe while I play a WWE 2K25. Maybe I think I will do an NXT review. We'll have to wait and see. I don't really do NXT review, but I think I will start doing them. Alright. Alright, so we got Goodbye World commentaries. R-Truth saves Cena.
Michael Cole grabs Gunther's leg like Bobby Heenan and holds it down as pinning him, but he still kicks out. So I thought Michael Cole was a dead man after that, but instead Gunther kept his focus on Pat McAfee, finally put on the final choke on McAfee, and it was the finish that we kind of called. It was going to be a McAfee probably passing out type of spot, and that's what happened. So McAfee just passes out, and the match was over. So I was like, okay, we were wondering about Goldberg. Could Goldberg show up and help McAfee win? Could we see a post-match beatdown? And that's where Goldberg shows up, because apparently they're going to be setting up this Goldberg-Gunther match pretty soon, probably this summer. So keep an eye out for Goldberg. So he didn't come out, but the way the match kind of ended, with Gunther finally choking out McAfee, it didn't feel like a post-match beatdown type of situation, especially now that Cole was back in the ring. Pat McAfee actually stands up.
God damn it.
For it, I would have, obviously in situations like that, you can get hurt, but no, I'm hoping that she was just selling it, all of that. What do you think?
I hope she was selling. That person was from my chat. I don't. And I had just mentioned, well, there's no blood or anything. It's really hard to say until you get confirmation. I hope
We got Dominic Cena here who says Weezy Blonde.
Alright, so we got Fightful.
Destroyer in the apron, and this again, this match, if you talk about from a where's this match?
Are they turning Gunther face? They might. He's got to face Goldberg first. Fans, I hope they boo Goldberg. I hope they boo him so hard in his retirement match. So,
They might not. I think people will only boo Goldberg if he challenges for another championship. Cause people on the internet are gonna go crazy. Cause it's back to the same thing. It's back to the same old shit. We're gonna book Goldberg in a championship match where he's gonna probably win, or he's gonna lose, and it's gonna be a shit match. People might not boo Goldberg if it's just like another match with Gunther. Maybe people will cheer because Goldberg. Maybe they love Goldberg. And this is how you can book Goldberg, booking for another match for Saudi Arabia or a one-off for SummerSlam. I don't know. Since that we have Saudi Arabia United Champions, we might see him in Saudi Arabia. And if we do see that match, I think we might get a rematch at SummerSlam. I hope not, because I tell you, Goldberg's gonna win. I don't know. I just have a feeling that we might see Goldberg for night champion because they're in Saudi Arabia, and then um, I, I think we might see a rematch at SummerSlam. And now this is what we got. Some of the highlights here for Pat McAfee and Gunther. Michael Cole getting involved. What is Michael Cole thinking? And then we got the main event, Cena Orton. These are all the highlights that were very good. I don't know if I like. I think it's better if Cena wear black. I think he's wear black. I don't think the random clothes. Well, I understand for a Cena character, but I prefer he wear black. I don't think blue fits the all black for his entrance. Randy Orton got big reception in St. Louis. I don't think we saw her wife, did we? I don't think we saw her kids either. They were just him in St. Louis and the fans were there. Cena and Orton hit the AA. Orton RKO'd. Cena act like Randy. Randy Orton gave him an AA to the announce table. And then we saw all the shenanigans. We saw the officials, Randy Orton hitting RKO on Nick Aldis. How many times has Orton done this on TV? I think he did. I think 2 years ago after he came back from injury, and then I think he did it a few months before that. He also did it. No, I think he did it at on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, going into WrestleMania, and we thought it was gonna be him and Nick Aldis. Randy Orton had RKO Nick Aldis so many times. Like, are we gonna get this match? I don't know. That's something they've been teasing. R-Truth got involved. John Cena is leaving. We actually had something. Now this had to be off the air, like after the show went off the air. Come on, R-Truth. This isn't the same John Cena. We could see R-Truth turn heel. It is a possibility, by the way. I think that would be interesting. I actually want to see that and see where you go with that.
To finish everything up and have everything else happen with Solo interfering and Jeff debuting. Did they say Jeff's name? Because I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't listening to commentary. Did they?
Oh, that's a great question. I was yelling his name out at the top of my lungs, so I almost feel like I was the one saying his name. I can't confidently say that commentary said his name. I can't confidently say that only because I was talking over the commentary.
I think they did because I think I said it and then like immediately, yeah, my shout. Okay, they did at the same time. They did. So they did introduce Prince Death Cup. So I did not see that happening.
I'm glad. I'm glad that he's here because anybody who's seen Jeff Cobb before, they know, man.
I don't know. I don't really know anything about him. I learned literally.
Don't worry. So let me tell you right now, this guy is. I think the thing that's gonna get over most with him is that his thighs and the power that he's able to do. Like he's really good, in my opinion, at like the power movement.
Andrade jobbing out now. Santa Escobar jobbing out. Come Hayes, he's jobbing out. They're putting other people on. The more you keep doing it every week, the less interest the crowd is having Santa. And Andrade's not doing anything. Camelo Hayes, he's now a last year for the man. I don't like that. Camelo Hayes is now jobbing out.
little too strong. But I really want to see. Don't take that the wrong way.
I won't, but I can't tell anyone else not to. It's the internet. They're
We got a comment over here.
There's really not too much to dive into, is there?
But yeah, he's just
We'll break it down.
been one of those things like Marvel laughing about since the first time I met him, which was early in NXT, um,
He went from being the leader to now being in the shadows of
he is across that the athlete that he is.
So he's watching the press conference too. Okay.
Was funny. I was like, oh, shit, my bad.
Like Becky's still trying to figure out this cheating business. I think it kind of makes sense that it would be on Becky.
Yeah.
She
This is-
released too early. Yeah.
Which is a very subtle. That they are treating these still as big shows. Event is next. Pat McAfee against Michael Cole gives us he discloses, I am going to be biased. I hope
play, unless it's just Solo not being confident in him being able to run the roost himself, and he always needs someone directly underneath him as a lackey to help. And how long that is the case? How long will Jeff be willing to do that? What will be the thing that drives him to not? Is Solo going to end up all by himself? There's a lot of directions I think that it could probably go.
So here's what I'm thinking. I hate to say this, but I think there's another scenario where we see the exact same thing happen that happened with Jacob Fatu and Solo, where Jeff Cobb kind of outshines Solo Sikoa. Now, I don't feel like Jacob Fatu still has a lot more of that, like, personality and that intensity than Jeff Cobb.
You get in the middle of the brain, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But Jeff Cobb is still a very, imposing figure, and he's had a lot more experience. So I do think there's a world where Solo kind of falls to the wayside to Jeff Cobb as well. Because even just like the visual today, I've seen Solo and Jeff Cobb standing there. Instantly, I'm like, all right, Fatu, Jeff Cobb, and someone in my chat was like, Bronson Reed, Jeff Cobb, and that was kind of similar to when Jacob Fatu came in here. We're like, Jacob Fatu, this person, that person. And so it's one of those situations where I do think that Jeff Cobb might once again, kind of outshine Solo Sikoa a little bit. But we'll see. I guess it all depends on how they play that whole thing out. But I'm excited about Babyface Fatu. I am here for that.
I am too. I got my title right here.
Hey!
My baby mental title. Oh, yes, no, great.
Thank you. So we got Loud Round Leo that says this is awesome. It's becoming an overused chant. It's some. The other. So Luis, you're probably on to something there. Thank you so much, Luis. We got a very, very kind super chat by John Taylor. John, you didn't have to, man, but thank you so freaking much. He says, when Weezy shows up, so does the DWO. Weezy, I just want to let you know that your hard work is seen and appreciated, and is always a treat to see you join Denise on a post show. My Backlash grade was a solid C. Lyra Becky was great. Gunther McAfee wasn't. Lol.
I expect to be the unpopular. It's fine. I know what I am.
It's usually me. Don't worry. It's usually me. Okay, so with that
Thank you,
being said,
John. Thank
yeah, John, that's incredible, man. Easy, I was gonna say, by the way, everyone loved having you on the Raw show last day you filled in for Santi. And people were like, hey Denise, we need you to bring Weezy on more. I was already thinking about bringing you on for Backlash, but seeing the people will say they wanted you to hop on to the post shows made me obviously, like reassurance and all of that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. It's fun talking with you about it.
Let's go. All right. Well, let's get into Gunther Pat McAfee. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right. Do we want the positive review? Okay, my review's not horrible.
It's not gonna be, yeah.
It's not horrible. Okay, let me just explain here.
I would I would like to hear what you have to say, babe, because since we see it in probably different ways, I really do. What you got?
All right, so when everybody was shitting on when this match was made, there was a lot of people that are like, "What the f? They really did Gunther and Pat McAfee," and I kept saying, "Look, guys, Pat McAfee first of all killed it on those promos, great." But Pat McAfee has wrestled before and it's been entertaining. I have not hated Pat McAfee in a matchup. I really haven't. Like, I've been enjoying the guy. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the commentary. Everything. I'm a fan. Now, the appeal to me for this match was to see Gunther go in there and just chop Pat McAfee. That's all I want. That's all I want. A very simple girl. It's all I wanted. It was for him to go out there, chop Pat McAfee, and call it a day, try to see him go at it, and hey, maybe Goldberg comes out, maybe he doesn't. I don't know, but I was expecting Gunther to kill Pat McAfee. We were making rip jokes, all of that. So he goes out there, and you do see that for the majority of the match, right? Like the top of the match, you see, anytime Gunther would, anytime Pat McAfee would try to chop Gunther would get him with a chop back. If Pat McAfee slapped Gunther would get him with a slap back. Part is when Pat McAfee went in and chopped Gunther, and Gunther was like, "Nah, here's a big boot for you," and took him out, right? All of that I enjoyed. The part where I started to lose interest was when they involved Michael Cole. From that point on, the match completely fell down for me. It was climbing, and it just went straight down. Once Michael Cole got involved, I'm like, "Oh no, this is just getting corny." And I'm thinking, all right, chop Michael Cole. That's it. That's all I'm gonna repeat this. Didn't happen. Of course, I get it. He's older. It's fine. But then the part where I just couldn't, and I just told myself, just end it already. Just end this damn match already. Was at the end when they had Pat McAfee trying to hope up when he was being choked out by Gunther. I thought to myself, yo, this is looking hella corny. I cannot buy this. I cannot buy Pat McAfee trying to hope up. I'm sorry. I just could not buy this. I'm a Pat McAfee fan. This was not it for me. I was out by this point.
I understand. I do. I understand. It was hard to believe. I get it. I know.
What the?
This summer's hottest deals are at Ashley's Memorial Day sale. Check out our incredible selection.
Maybe Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker doesn't quite beat him, and Seth Rollins starts to show a little bit of, show a little bit of towards him.
Oh.
John Cena and applauding both men. As WWE would say, a storied rivalry between these two. They want so badly to believe this has been just an all-time classic feud. Whatever you think of these two, wherever you think this feud falls in the history books of great feuds in WWE history, it was never one of my favorites. But I didn't know what to expect tonight because it was really all about the crowd in St. Louis. They were in Randy Orton's hometown. You cannot pick a better place to have heel John Cena defend his championship against Randy Orton. Now, I said coming into the show, it was all going to come down to this crowd. This crowd, are they going to will this match into an all-time classic? Is that enough to carry this match? Because what we have seen from John Cena over the last several years, and in particular even this year, since he won the championship and came back to WWE, is a John Cena that is very different in ring from the one that we saw many years ago in those earlier matches with Randy Orton. This is a John Cena that has a ceiling to what he can do.
That much is clear. So a lot of the heavy lifting would have to be done by Randy Orton. And they went out there tonight, and they had a main event that I will say, and I already saw some of the comments earlier in the chat, and I agree that the main event tonight was better than the main event that we got on night 2 of WrestleMania. And that should never happen, by the way. But that is indeed what we got tonight. We got, and I know it's a low bar to set. Okay, we talked about how awful that main event was on night 2 of WrestleMania, so it's a low bar, but easily eclipsed the John Cena Cody Rhodes match at WrestleMania. So that's number one. But these two went out there and they delivered a match that was very early TNA-rific. So much so, especially with the overbooking of the ref bumps, that I am sure Jeff Jarrett, if he wasn't watching this match live tonight, when he does go back and watches this match, he will be standing up out of his chair and applauding both men. My God, I lost track of how between ref bumps, RKOs, attitude adjustments, it was out of control in that main event. But think about it. If you have someone in John Cena, and even Orton is older now, but Orton works a very smart match. You know, he picks his spots. He's methodical, but like he's Randy Orton. You know, so you expect it. It's his style, but he knows just when to strike and just when to move and do things in the ring. That's what makes him so great. With John Cena, like I said, he's limited. So what do you do in a situation like this when you have two guys going out there and they have 30 minutes? Because this main event tonight went on right at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Yeah, some people forget there's a UFC pay-per-view on right now. They had a UFC pay-per-view on at 10 p.m., so they probably wanted this show done before UFC went live. If you're wondering, well, how come this show was so short? They didn't go past the top of the hour. That's why. I don't know why some people are so surprised about this. I've been mentioning this now for weeks. But they went out there, it was 9 o'clock, and I said, man, they're going to give these guys a lot of time. So, of course, the entrances got a lot of time, and they really milked the reaction from Orton's hometown. He got a great reception. But this is exactly what the match needed. They needed the smoke and mirrors. They needed the bells and whistles, because what else are you going to get out of these two if they have 25 to 30 minutes to go out there and put on a main event? So thank God we got the things that we got in the main event tonight, because if we didn't, I think I would be sitting here right now doing a very different review. Think back to the Royal Rumble, what was it, 2014, I think it was, and the match these two had. So it needed that. It needed all of that. And in the end, what we got was actually the best possible John Cena Randy Orton match that you could expect at this stage of the game. Honestly, I don't think that match could have gone any better for a John Cena Randy Orton match in 2025 than it did tonight. It was exactly what it needed to be. Did I need all of the ref bumps, and did they go overboard with it? Sure. And I think that your kind of overview of this main event is, or maybe of the entire event, top to bottom, maybe colored very much by what you thought of the overbooking of that main event. If you didn't like it, if you weren't a fan of it, you're probably not a fan overall of the show. But if you really loved the main event, that's really what the show was built around, your opinion of the show is probably very different. I'm more in the middle, trending up, than I am, thinking that this show was no good or this show was garbage. The show was not garbage. But was it a show that when it was over, I sat here and felt like, man, that was an excellent show. Man, Backlash was this huge show. No, I didn't come away from it feeling that way. I look at it like this. This show had 5 matches on it. And this is part of the Triple H formula, generally speaking, on these WrestleMania type shows. He likes to keep it to about 5, sometimes 6, but usually 5 matches. And looking at the card on paper, you had John Cena and Randy Orton in the main event, right, which was a crapshoot. Then you had Gunther and Pat McAfee. McAfee is not a wrestler, right? Just because he's wrestled, I mean he's a wrestler. But it's Gunther. So you knew whatever the layout of the match was going to be, they were going to find a way to make it work. Dominic Mysterio and Penta for the Intercontinental title. How could that be a bad match, right? Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. We've seen them work before. They've had a very good match before. And then a fatal 4-way for the United States Championship, which I think actually turned out to probably be the best thing on the entire show, but we'll get into everything here in a second. But as far as Cena and Orton are concerned, I do wonder if John Cena is just going to go around for the rest of the year until we get the inevitable babyface turn, kicking everybody in the dick until he drops the championship. That seems to be the play here. He kicked Cody Rhodes in the dick twice. He kicked Randy Orton in the dick. Who's next? You would hope that whoever is next is smart enough to be wearing protection. But I said that years ago when AJ Styles was getting kicked in the dick all the time and Brock Lesnar was getting kicked in the dick by The Undertaker every other week. Nobody ever seems to learn their lesson. So I guess why should it be any different today? But one thing that was interesting, actually the most interesting part of that main event is something that did not even happen on the show. It happened when they went off the air, because this was the first time that we got John Cena expressing some form of I don't know if you would call it remorse or regret over his actions, over the things that he has said to the fans, over the way that he has behaved, the way that he won this match tonight, because of course he won. You knew he wasn't going to lose. But it was that little bit of storytelling that did not take place during the actual Backlash show, but I think was the planting of that initial seed for what we all know is coming. We don't know when. We don't know how many more months we're going to have to suffer through the crotch attacks. But we know that at some point John Cena will go back to the good side, because John Cena is not going to retire as a heel. And so whenever that may be, we got our first little hint, I think, of John Cena maybe having second thoughts. And I'll talk more about that when we get to the main event. That to me was the most interesting part of the show, and it wasn't even on the actual show. But yes, John Cena is still the WWE champion coming out of Backlash. I know, everybody, Slow King says, everybody getting kicked in the balls. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. You know, you would think that Nick Aldis might have a little something to say to Randy Orton. He ate his third RKO tonight. At what point does the general manager do something about this? It's the third time in the last few years that he has been dropped by Randy Orton. I guess maybe Orton will have to write another check after tonight. Bigger question now is, where do we go from here? I mean, they're talking about this being the final match between John Cena and Randy Orton. I'm not so sure about that. But I mentioned Gunther and Pat McAfee. This was the match I was actually looking forward to more than any other single match on this show, believe it or not. Because I think they've done a very good job, actually, of building this thing up. I thought those promos, those go-home promos on Monday night from Pat and from Gunther were excellent. And it got me very interested to see, how is this match going to go? Because you don't want them to overstay their welcome with it, but at the same time, if it's the most anticipated match, or it was for me anyway, on the show, I don't necessarily want it to be over in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, because that's no good. But they also shouldn't be going 15 or 20 minutes. And what we got from them was exactly what it needed to be. Did it go a little longer than it had to? Yes, I think it did. But it was exactly what it needed to be between those two. We had the Women's Intercontinental Championship. That may have been the biggest surprise of the entire night for me. I thought for sure Becky Lynch was coming out of the show with gold, and in fact, she did not. Lyra Valkyria, not only is she the Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria had what may have been the defining match. I wanted to say may have had. She just had the defining match of her main roster run, if not her entire career in WWE, against Becky Lynch. And that issue is obviously not over yet. But that was, for me, the big surprise tonight. We also had another surprise in the debut of a new star. We had of Jeff Cobb, who has been talked about quite a bit over the last several weeks, leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. Where is he going to go? All the talk was focused on WWE and not AEW. He has worked for AEW before, but he reportedly was leaning towards WWE, or had already signed maybe with WWE. Fightful, I believe, were the first ones weeks ago, had that report that his name was spotted on the internal roster in WWE. And some people laughed all the way to St. Louis from yesterday to today to make sure that he got to the show. Now that's dedication. 5 flights in 2 days just to make sure that he would get to the show on time. So did they not reach out to him until very late in the game to say, hey, we got an idea for this show. We need you in St. Louis. You would think they'd give him a little bit more of a heads up on that. That sounds like a fucking nightmare. I went from New York at 5 o'clock in the morning to Atlanta with a layover to go from Atlanta to Chicago just to get to the House of Glory show last night. And now I feel like a fucking idiot here. I hear about Jeff Cobb. He's going from Japan to the U.S. He's on fucking 5 different planes. But there he was in St. Louis and actually got a pretty good reaction. There were certainly a number of people in that building who knew exactly who he was, even though he has never been in WWE before. What did he do? Why is he there? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this entire show. I, on the whole, think that the matches, as far as like the in-ring, the opening match, the women's intercontinental match, and honestly, I could go either way as far as the fatal 4-way or the women's match as the best match on the entire show. Because that women's match was excellent. I just tend to lean toward the 4-way. I don't know. The crowd was very hot for the opening match, and it was all action, and I just thought it was fun. But again, if you were to tell me that you thought Becky and Lyra had the best match on the show, I would not disagree. It was the only women's match on the show, and it was probably the best thing on the show. So I enjoyed it overall. It did not feel like a terribly important show. It really did feel like, okay, we have to do a show. And so let's come up with a card. On paper, it was far from the strongest card that WWE has put together. When you go into a show with low expectations, a lot of times what ends up happening is when you keep your expectations low, you at least meet those expectations and probably exceed them a little bit. To me, that was Backlash. That's how I would describe Backlash tonight. We'll talk about the entire show here from top to bottom. This is your WWE Backlash 2025 review. I am the Solemn Monster. Thank you for joining me here live on a. Now, that's your homework for the next. After I got Damian Priest loss at WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre, not only did he win at WrestleMania, but he beat LA Knight in a #1 contenders match on SmackDown a few weeks ago. And somehow, this ends up being a fatal 4-way. I'm on McIntyre's side. The man got jobbed here. He's right. He's one of those heels that what he says makes a lot of sense, and he's right. He gets booed, but he's right. Anyway, he was looking to become a Grand Slam champion here in this match. Knight he was the first one out. Roman, again, certainly SmackDown in the next few weeks. But the reactions for Jacob Fatu, they get louder and louder with each passing week. So even though he really is still technically a heel, the fans are dictating that they want him to be the chosen one. Big things are in this man's future. All you have to do is listen. Put your ear to the door. Cup your ear, brother, and just listen. And it gets louder and louder and louder each week. So Priest and Knight, they teamed up for a high-low style move on Fatu. McIntyre went on a whole run of offense, doling out neck breakers to everybody. He kicked up. He went for a Claymore.
It's mayhem. TCG play. Some devious creature snuck into control.
It's the end. John Cena and Rick.
All right, now let's go back to JD from New York.
2025. I am your host, JD from New York, as always, coming to you live from the OTS venue inside my mother's basement. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Saturday evening, wherever you may be. We are live as live could be, and the chat is telling me that R-Truth may rest in peace. R-Truth just got AA'd through the press conference table, which John Cena was sitting at, and R-Truth is now no more. R-Truth got put through the table at the press conference by John Cena as a, I guess, thank you for coming to my aid and trying to help me win over Randy Orton tonight. You know, there was a moment, I don't know if you guys saw, I don't know if you guys saw at the end. Usually people are quick to shut the TV off as soon as the end credits roll, and we see Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting, and we see the event's trademark logo in the bottom left of the screen. At the end of the show, John Cena, even though he kind of got on the microphone and said what he said, there was a moment after the show went black, and then they come back before they go to the pre-show panel or the post-show panel. And there was a moment where John Cena was kind of, I don't know what he was doing, but he was in his own mindset. I don't know if he was contemplating what the fans were chanting at him. They were chanting, "Thank you, Cena," at the end of the match as he was walking out of the building. I don't know if that is the beginning stages of him coming back to his senses. I don't know if that is the beginning stages of John Cena turning back to being a babyface. I thought that might have been the situation there, and they were kind of teasing it, and we were going to get a long game out of it.
Never come back.
But
You can
at the
share
press
my
conference,
name.
post-show press conference, put R-Truth through the table, and I'm assuming we're going to get R-Truth versus John Cena on this final run of John Cena in 2025. But I thought that was eventual seeds being planted for John Cena turning back to being a babyface, because he's not going to retire heel. He's going to retire a babyface, and he's going to accept the fans once again at the end of his year this year. So we'll see what happens there. But the rumor is R-Truth versus John Cena for the WWE Championship at Saturday night's main event, potentially. I've seen a report going around today that in 3 weeks, which would be that, John Cena would defend the WWE Championship against R-Truth. I figured R-Truth would be welcomed by John Cena, and we get Ron Killings back, and we get R-Truth being a heel alongside John Cena. I don't know what the plan is, but R-Truth is being integrated into whatever story John Cena is telling on this WWE Championship run that he's on right now as a heel. We'll get into John Cena and Randy Orton a little bit later. We'll give our quick thoughts here before we get into the actual review. I want to thank you guys for joining me here on Saturday night. We got almost 3,000 people here on a Saturday night. Thank you guys very much. Always appreciate the large audiences we usually have after these shows. You make this the #1 place to be after shows like this. I thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight, man. Backlash, a lot of people, including us content creators with a head straight on our shoulders, who know right from wrong, good from bad. A lot of people in the community, especially the IWC, the more vocal minority of the IWC, wrote this show off. And a lot of us were worried because there wasn't really a lot of substance on this show. There were 5 matches, and a lot of people usually get frustrated with the fact that Triple H could do a 6th match or maybe a 7th match. And no matter how many times we have to explain it to people, though I would have loved a 6th match because the show was really flowing very nicely tonight. 5 matches, especially when the show is really fucking good, you're not really asking for more. And this, again, I have to explain this over and over again. I feel like a broken record. This is exactly what Triple H did with the NXT takeovers during the black and gold era. You only got, and I mean only got, 5 matches. And all of those matches were bangers. Crowd was hot, and you'd be back. That's his mentality. Sometimes these shows come off the way that they did tonight. Tonight was the exception. Sometimes those shows could use a 6th match. Tonight wasn't that night. Tonight wasn't a night where we needed another match, even though we all wanted it. We all wanted it because we were having a good time. We all wanted it because the show was good. But when the show's not good and the show doesn't come off the way that it did like it did tonight, we usually want another match, or another 2 matches, rounding it out to 6 or 7 matches on these B-level pay-per-views. Backlash was lacking coming into it. Wasn't really a lot going on there. The build up and down the card. I mean, you look at the build for this show. Pat McAfee and Gunther was the best story going into St. Louis. And Pat McAfee was the best story being told on WWE television. And that itself is going to raise a few eyebrows because one is one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet. And the other guy he's in the ring with is a fucking color commentator. And ex-athlete, a former football player, but a color commentator and a podcast host. So people were a little concerned just based off that. Tonight was definitely one of those nights. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen all the time and to trust the process and shut the fuck up and just trust Triple H and let him do what he's got to do. Triple H is usually the one in the kitchen cooking. He usually comes out, he serves you a 5-course meal. I don't want to use any of these silly IWC narratives and these slang words that everybody loves to use on social media. But tonight, WWE basically said, all right, listen, we got 5 matches. We got 3 weeks coming out of WrestleMania to put a show together. We got Saturday night's main event coming up in just a couple of weeks after this. We got back-to-back shows. We got everything really bunched close together. Then we're going to go right into the Money in the Bank show on June 6th. A lot of it is just closely bunched together, and I think a lot of people are concerned that WWE is not going to have a lot of time to start building these shows whether they need to be built. But tonight, WWE basically said, all right, you could doubt us. You could sit there and say 3 weeks, it's not really looking good on paper, but give it a chance. Let the fucking show play out, man. Watch it to its conclusion.
Right.
And that's exactly what they did tonight, man. They delivered from top to bottom, from match 1 all the way to match 5, which was the end. John Cena and Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. We started off great with a fatal 4-way for the United States Championship, and everything in between. Becky, Lyra, Dominic Penta, and Gunther and Pat McAfee. I thought Backlash was a great show. Backlash is going to be one of those shows that's going to be written off for the lack of build. But when you watch it and you listen and you absorb it, it's going to go down as probably some of the most explosive 3 hours that WWE's produced all year as far as their programming is concerned. I had a very good time. From the word go and that fatal 4-way, man, they did not stop. All gas, no brakes is what Jacob Foxy says. WWE used that same mentality, and they went and did that. All gas, no brakes. We went from that match into Becky, Lyra, into Dominic Penta, into Gunther and Pat McAfee, and then into the main event, man. From top to bottom, this may have been some of the best 3 hours that WWE produced all year. This may be somewhat of a hot take. I don't really give a shit. It's my opinion only. You want your own opinion? Go start your own fucking podcast. Backlash was actually better than night 1 of WrestleMania in every sense of the word, from top to bottom. Randy Orton and John Cena, which a lot of us were afraid of, rightfully so, because John Cena looked awful at WrestleMania. They produced a better main event tonight. Him and Randy Orton produced a better main event than John Cena and Cody Rhodes did in the biggest show of the year in the WrestleMania Night 2 main event.
And that's a shame, and that's shocking. You think about it. Man, Cody Rhodes had one of the worst main events of all time with John Cena in his last WrestleMania. But this match was a lot better.
I thought tonight was a great show.
Yeah, me too.
Great show. Now we're going into Saturday's main event. Obviously, WWE could have done a 6 match. They could have did Jey Uso and Logan Paul on tonight's show. They're saving that for Saturday night's main event. They could have did the women's tag team match with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Julia and Roxanne Perez. They could have given this match a 6 match or a 7th match. They're saving that for Monday Night Raw.
A lot of people
This
said
show
that they
did
might
not have CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes. This show was missing some of its top stars, and WWE produced a solid 3 hours of television that kept you engaged with an energetic crowd, and from top to bottom, delivered explosive in-ring action. What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? I thought they hit a home run tonight. It's not going to be one of those shows that we're going to go back and watch, look back 10 years from now and say, oh man, Backlash is one of them all-time classics back from 2025. No, it did its job. It was a great show after WrestleMania with an energetic crowd that got you excited for what's to come on Raw, going into Saturday night's main event, and then into Money in the Bank.
I'm the champion.
What more could you ask?
I got my WrestleMania.
What more could you ask for? Fatal 4-Way was tremendous. United States Championship and all the people, all the men that are vying for the United States Championship, that is the hottest that the United States Championship has been in years. I can't even go back and tell you when the United States Championship had this level of competition vying for that title. Solo Sikoa. How many of you guys watched my SmackDown review last night? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I said, I would not be surprised if we start to see the beginning phases of Solo Sikoa coming up with his own plan, and being that Jacob Fatu does not want anything to do with Solo's plan, Solo makes up his own game plan. And his own game plan would be Jeff Cobb. Said that legitimately 24 hours ago, right here on this stream for the Friday Night SmackDown post show. And what do we got? We got Jeff Cobb making his WWE debut tonight in the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way, seemingly looking like the new right-hand man for Solo Sikoa. Jacob Fatu did not know what to think of Jeff Cobb. So he's there. He got a decent reaction for his WWE debut. And that Fatal 4-Way kicked serious fucking ass, man. Great open to the show. Drew McIntyre, we got a little piece of news on Drew McIntyre. He walked away injured, but Triple H did say in the press conference that he will be okay. That's the news on that. LA Knight looked great. Jacob Fatu is a fucking monster. Everybody loves Fatu. And Damian Priest, he also brought what he usually brings to the table. That was a great match. Lyra is starting to finally, thank God, finally starting to come into her own, man. Becky Lynch did a very good job tonight at playing up the heel role, and the crowd was into everything that she and Lyra did tonight for the Intercontinental Championship. You could not have asked for a better match to get Lyra slowly moving up the ladder, and in the eyes of the fans, a credible champion. And Becky did just that. I have been very against and not a fan of Becky Lynch's heel turn. Intercontinental Championship match that the women have seen since the title has been born. And a lot of people are probably wondering, we will discuss, where is Bayley? Why didn't we see Bayley? Bayley at WrestleMania. We will go over that. Mysterio and Penta. We got an Intercontinental Championship match for the men, which is probably building towards something regarding El Grande Americano and the Luchadors at Worlds Collide when it's WWE versus AAA. He showed up and helped Dominic win and retain the Intercontinental Championship. Very good match. It was honestly the shortest of the matches tonight, which, believe it or not, for Penta is very surprising. But they had a very good match. More so a television match on pay-per-view, but it was still exciting to say the least. Gunther and Pat McAfee. If you guys ain't giving Pat McAfee his flowers after tonight, man, you are being disingenuous yourself. You're being a negativity grifter, you are being disingenuous, and you are just hating for the simple fact of hate. Pat McAfee fucking worked his ass off. Pat McAfee did more than anyone should have asked him to do tonight in there against Gunther. And what do I usually say with Gunther? The man doesn't have bad matches. I could get in there with Gunther and probably have a fucking good match with Gunther. That's how great he is. Excellent work. Probably the most sports entertained I was all night was Gunther and Pat McAfee. Awesome stuff. Might have been a little overbooked. Might have been a little silly to some. Some people still don't understand why. Some people are already creating the narrative online. Oh, Gunther was buried. He went 15 minutes with a color commentator. I don't look at that and use the word buried. I don't know why you're using the word buried. I don't think you guys know what the word means, the definition of the word buried means. Gunther was not buried. could have ended the match in 60 seconds. He refused not to. He didn't want to end the match in 60 seconds. He wanted to toy like a cat plays with a fucking dead bird. That's what he wanted to do. We'll talk about the match and how it all came about. I thought it was very good. And I love this new vile, just angry Gunther. He's just like a fuck. He's out for blood. He doesn't give a shit. If you're a commentator or someone in the locker room, he doesn't give a shit. I love it. We'll talk about that. And John Cena, Randy Orton, man, surprised the fuck out of me. I'll tell you that right now. I've been saying for weeks, everything's been great. The promo work's been great. Not really much of a story. It's just them reliving off their history together over the last 20 years. So the WWE Championship, Randy's in St. Louis. It's the one time that we're going to get this match all year. It's the last time ever. And then I said the bell rings. And then it's going to be very difficult waters to navigate. But man, they did to everything that they could have possibly they did, and they worked it to the best of their ability. They pushed themselves to the limit as far as they could go, and you could not have asked for the match to turn out any better than it did, man, because I wasn't expecting a lot going in. Sure, there were a lot of smoke and mirrors. Sure, it was overbooked like a motherfucker. But it still ended up being entertaining.
Well, John Cena is advertised for Saturday Night Main Event, and based on what I saw from a lot of people, they were saying that John Cena could be AA on R-Truth during the
now realizing that the fans do really love him, and
we
really
could look at John Cena and R-Truth.
And then he goes to attack R-Truth at the Backlash post show and puts him through the tape. So we'll talk about this. I thought Backlash was a great show tonight, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys right here on the podcast. Thank you very much for joining me here on this Saturday night. We got 30, whichever game you're playing. On social media that he was entitled to share his opinions without having to face any repercussions. Go. Before he discussed how many titles and how many battles they've had together. The battles with Cena were the most fun of his career. Now, in Orton's mind, he believed that Cena was being selfish because he wasn't thinking of others with his recent change in attitude. Orton promised that if given the chance, he punts Cena tonight. 4 guys were split into 2, and McIntyre brawled with Priest. Fatu brawled with LA Knight. They brawled in their own separate corners. Guys, and looked to hit a superplex before Knight intercepted. Goodness. 2 says, love your shows, JD. You got me watching wrestling again almost 2 years ago. Cheers. Oh, my goodness. That's another round of applause right there. That is crazy, man. Thank you very, very, very much. And how do we forget? We got another one, man.
Pretty sure the press conference is about to be over. John Cena shockingly assaulted R-Truth at the press conference post-show. Yeah, I think we might get to that at Saturday Night Main Event. John Cena's advertised for that show. It's gonna have a 3-week build. I think we will get Cena and R-Truth. I don't know when Cody Rhodes is gonna come back. I don't know when he's gonna come back. But it's not gonna be Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, he's not getting a rematch anytime soon. It's gonna be Cena and R-Truth. I think it has to be, and it just makes sense. Alright, so trying to see that it. Just checking all the other podcasters here. Think that's all it. We got Joe Cronin. Hold on, there's another damn commercial.
No, this is like 1,000%. Just about this is like 80 RKOs, it's 80 AAs, and the crowd's going nuts. So it's like there is a compromise there that I think we should understand. We do all of this stuff because we know it will work, and it did here. So it was very much a just heavy reliance on these big moves. The audience continued to buy in. Like you could have done another dozen AAs and RKOs. This crowd, that's what they were there for. They left satisfied. Okay.
I mean, I don't even know how to really like decipher. I don't remember the live comment, so I don't really understand.
Well, on that note, we're gonna say goodbye to everybody, but we will have Rewind to Raw coming at you Monday night, right after Raw. We will see the follow-up to the big press conference that went down after Backlash. What is the state of R-Truth after an AA through a table? Did they continue the press conference afterwards? Did they bring up people to a broken table to have to take lessons?
That I don't.
Ended the press conference early. This is what they should have done after that Royal Rumble last year.
Well, how do you continue after seeing a
It's a pretty chaotic scene. You gotta get medics in there and check them. Maybe they can stretch your ankle as well. So there you have it. We'll be back Monday night. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Again, check us out, postwrestlingcafe.com, where you can check out.
Alright, so we're gonna end his
Right, a bunch of thugs that just come in and wreck the bloodline, and Jacob's gonna be that dude that runs it. What they didn't expect was that Jacob would get over his family. And see, Triple H is not Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon would have pushed him as a heel anyways. That's not Triple H. If you want to cheer him, cool. You can cheer him, but you're gonna be a babyface. So I can see now the plan is to have Jeff Cobb because
yeah, cause I agree. Cause Jacob Fatu is mega over. Crowd is cheering his name. Crowd loves him. He was over at WrestleMania. He's been over since he came to the company. Solo's not gonna be a babyface. No one buys in Solo. Fans buy Jacob Fatu. They believe in Fatu. And I do agree. I think we're leading to that. And based on what we saw after the Fatal 4-Way ended, with Jacob walking away, Jeff Cobb with Solo. I can't wait. I wonder what can happen. I know that they're hurt, but hopefully we see Tonga Loa, Tama come back. Maybe Bronson Reed might come back. He might get involved into this. I wonder what could happen. Are we gonna see them turn on Fatu and Fatu gonna take them all on? We'll have to wait and see. So we all thought that they were on Fatu. No, they turned on Solo.
You son of a bitch.
You know, Solo's a Koa. It's a baby.
Into a
And a lot of fans, I see a lot of people, they don't like that. A lot of fans, they don't want Solo to turn into a baby because the fans don't care about Solo.
Completely obliterated him against the steel post. He ran into the steel post, looked cross body block. So you see
and
how
now we heard it
I
goes
don't
there.
give a
It's
shit
Solo.
what I.
Cena cries after WWE Backlash. John Cena cried after WWE Backlash. AEW Beat Break. I think I will do an AEW pretty soon. Now there's Night of Champions on June 28th. Here's SmackDown. I already showed all this. I think I made this long enough. I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section below what y'all think and if y'all want to see more. Until next time. I will see y'all later. Alright. Gonna end the video right here. See y'all later.